I didn't intend it to be a solo album, but I couldn't convince Bjorn Yttling and Jackie Olhund and the guys I worked with to.
In the rebellious world of punk rock, few voices cut through the noise as sharply as Chrissie Hynde. The Ohio-born frontwoman of The Pretenders wasn't just a trailblazing female rocker who proved women could be just as fierce and uncompromising as their male counterparts. She was also one of music's most brutally honest critics, with a legendary temper and impossibly high standards that made her one of the most feared voices in rock journalism and performance. Behind the leather jackets and snarling vocals lurked a perfectionist who harbored serious contempt for bands she saw as phonies, sellouts, and posers who had betrayed everything punk rock was supposed to represent.
What was that mimicry?
Well,
it's karaoke, really, isn't it?
We were looking at it and went.
Hynde didn't just dislike certain musical approaches, she actively despised what she viewed as manufactured rebellion and corporate-sponsored authenticity that made a mockery of genuine underground culture.
I loved about bands and music, it was never made for stadiums. It was always a little underground thing.
Welcome to another explosive episode of Offstage Tales, where we expose the brutal honesty behind punk's most uncompromising female icon. Today, we're revealing the shocking truth about the 5 bands that reportedly made Chrissie Hynde's blood boil. The Akron native who conquered London's punk scene with raw talent and zero tolerance for bullshit had some very strong opinions about her contemporaries. And trust me, she never held back. These weren't just creative differences or professional rivalries. These were fundamental philosophical wars about authenticity, integrity, and what punk rock was supposed to mean before the corporate machine got its hands on it. 5. Blondie. Coming in at number 5 on our countdown is a name that will shock anyone familiar with the New York punk scene. Blondie, the glamorous new wave pioneers fronted by Debbie Harry, reportedly became one of Chrissie Hynde's most despised targets through what Hynde saw as the ultimate betrayal of punk's authentic underground spirit for mainstream pop success.
At a concert, at a show we were doing, but we didn't play together because I don't believe that was how we met.
The animosity allegedly began in the late 1970s when both bands were emerging from the same CBGB scene but taking drastically different paths to success. According to punk historian Legs McNeil, Hynde reportedly told fellow musicians at Max's Kansas City, "Debbie and the boys have turned punk into a costume party for people who are afraid of real rebellion. They've taken everything dangerous about our scene and made it safe for radio." What particularly infuriated Hynde was Blondie's transformation from gritty punk rockers to polished pop stars. While Hynde maintained her commitment to raw, uncompromising rock with social consciousness, Blondie was achieving massive commercial success with what Hynde reportedly called punk for people who don't want to get their hands dirty, carefully crafted songs that borrowed punk's energy while abandoning its anti-establishment message. The tension reportedly came to a head during a 1979 industry party, where Hynde allegedly confronted Harry about Blondie's disco-influenced direction. Witnesses claim Hynde made cutting remarks about selling out the scene that made you, leading to an uncomfortable confrontation that ended with Hynde storming out. The rivalry wasn't just about musical direction, it was about the soul of punk itself. Hynde reportedly saw Blondie as representing everything wrong with the music industry's commercialization of authentic rebellion, turning genuine underground culture into marketable entertainment for suburban audiences who wanted to feel edgy without actually challenging anything. For Hynde, Blondie had apparently committed the ultimate punk sin, making rebellion profitable and rebellion safe. 4. The Go-Go's landing at number 4 is perhaps the most controversial female-on-female feud in rock history. The Go-Go's, the all-female punk-turned-pop band from Los Angeles, reportedly became a source of intense frustration for Chrissie Hynde, who saw their party girl image as everything wrong with how women were represented in rock music during the early 1980s. The conflict allegedly began when both bands were being marketed as pioneering female acts in a male-dominated industry.
Small, keep it local, and just keep it cool. Not everyone has to know about it. Not everyone,
According to rock journalist Christine McKenna, Hynde reportedly told music writers, "The Go-Go's are setting women in rock back 10 years. They're playing into every stereotype about female musicians being frivolous and non-serious. Real women rockers don't giggle their way through interviews about shopping and boys." What particularly galled Hynde was the Go-Go's transformation from legitimate punk rockers to mainstream pop entertainers. While Hynde fought tooth and nail to be taken seriously as a musician and songwriter, the Go-Go's were achieving massive success with what Hynde reportedly called sorority house rock, upbeat party anthems that prioritized fun over substance and reinforced the idea that female bands couldn't handle serious musical or social topics. The animosity reportedly reached its peak during a 1982 Music Industry Awards ceremony where the Go-Go's were celebrated for their commercial breakthrough. Industry witnesses claim Hynde was visibly disgusted when Belinda Carlisle made lighthearted comments about their success, allegedly muttering to her bandmates, "They're making us all look like we're just playing dress-up instead of making real music." The rivalry represented a fundamental split about female representation in rock. Hynde reportedly saw the Go-Go's as representing everything superficial about women's liberation in music, turning genuine feminist progress into marketable girl power that avoided challenging any real power structures. For the uncompromising Pretenders frontwoman, they had apparently chosen to be entertainers rather than artists, making their success a betrayal of every serious female musician. 3. Duran Duran. Sliding into number 3 is perhaps the most aesthetically opposed feud on our list.
Run away, let me in the vacuum of my heart.
Duran Duran, the glamorous new romantic superstars from Birmingham, reportedly became the ultimate symbol of everything Chrissie Hynde despised about 1980s music culture, representing what she saw as the complete triumph of style over substance in rock music.
Dominate something and they're trying to get away, I let them go.
Are you like...
The hatred allegedly began in the early 1980s when both acts were dominating MTV but representing completely different philosophies about rock authenticity. According to music journalist Paul Morley, Hynde reportedly told NME writers, "Duran Duran are everything that's wrong with music becoming a visual medium. They're pretty boys who think looking good in a video makes them musicians. Real rock and roll comes from the streets, not from a fashion photographer's studio." What particularly infuriated Hynde was Duran Duran's approach to fame and artistry. While Hynde had fought her way up from working-class Ohio through London's grimy punk clubs, Duran Duran was achieving global superstardom with what Hynde reportedly called art school posturing, elaborate music videos, and calculated image changes that prioritized visual appeal over musical substance or social consciousness. The animosity reportedly exploded during a 1983 British Music Awards ceremony where Duran Duran dominated the nominations. Industry witnesses claim Hynde made deliberately provocative comments during her acceptance speech about manufactured bands who've confused marketing with music, leading to visible tension when the camera cut to Duran Duran's table. The rivalry wasn't just about musical style, it was cultural warfare about rock's soul. Hynde reportedly saw Duran Duran as representing the complete commercialization of rebellion, turning authentic artistic expression into what she allegedly called rebellion for people who've never had anything to rebel against. For the uncompromising punk pioneer, they had apparently transformed rock music from working-class art into middle-class entertainment, making their success a betrayal of everything rock was supposed to represent. 2. Culture Club. Burning into number 2 is perhaps the most explosive clash of authenticity versus performance on our list.
You come and go. Nothing will be the Indian colors but like my dream.
Culture Club, the gender-bending pop sensation fronted by the flamboyant Boy George, reportedly became Chrissie Hynde's most despised target through what she saw as the cynical commercialization of genuine outsider identity and sexual rebellion for mainstream consumption. The feud allegedly began in 1982 when both acts were breaking into international stardom but representing radically different approaches to challenging gender norms and social conventions. According to music journalist John Savage, Hynde reportedly told punk fanzine writers, "Boy George has turned being an outsider into a marketing gimmick. Real gender rebels don't perform their difference for applause. They live it despite the consequences. He's made rebellion into a costume that comes off when the cameras stop rolling." What made Hynde's hatred particularly intense was Culture Club's transformation of genuine punk transgression into palatable pop entertainment. While Hynde had faced real discrimination and violence for challenging gender expectations in rock music, Culture Club was achieving massive success with what Hynde reportedly called safe rebellion, carefully calculated androgyny designed to titillate rather than genuinely challenge social norms. The animosity reportedly exploded during a 1983 London recording studio encounter where both acts were working on projects. Industry witnesses claim Hynde confronted Boy George about his public statements regarding punk authenticity, allegedly saying, "You've taken everything dangerous about being different and turned it into a bloody pantomime for suburban kids who want to feel edgy without actually risking anything." The tension continued when Culture Club began dominating MTV with their colorful, theatrical videos. Hynde reportedly told friends that Boy George represented everything fake about the music industry's version of rebellion, turning genuine outsider status into what she allegedly called drag queen capitalism. The rivalry represented a fundamental split about authentic versus performed transgression. For Hynde, Culture Club had apparently committed the ultimate sin, taking real struggles for acceptance and identity and transforming them into entertainment for audiences who would never face the genuine consequences of being truly different. Boy George had allegedly turned authentic rebellion into a profitable performance, making their success a betrayal of every genuine outsider who had suffered for their difference. 1. The Sex Pistols. Taking the top spot in our countdown is the ultimate punk rock betrayal that shattered Chrissie Hynde's faith in authentic rebellion. The Sex Pistols, the supposedly anarchic pioneers of British punk, reportedly became Hynde's most hated band after she discovered what she saw as the ultimate fraud, a manufactured rebellion created by fashion entrepreneur Malcolm McLaren for commercial exploitation. The hatred allegedly began in 1976, when Hynde was struggling to establish herself in London's emerging punk scene. According to punk historian John Savage, Hynde reportedly told fellow musicians at the Roxy Club, "The Pistols aren't a band, they're a bloody marketing experiment. Malcolm's created fake punks to sell real punk back to us as a product. They're everything we're supposed to be fighting against, wrapped up in safety pins and anarchy symbols." What made Hynde's contempt particularly venomous was her belief that the Sex Pistols had poisoned the entire punk movement. While she was trying to build authentic underground culture based on genuine working-class anger and artistic integrity, the Sex Pistols were achieving global notoriety with what Hynde reportedly called corporate anarchy, carefully orchestrated chaos designed for maximum media impact rather than genuine social rebellion. The animosity reportedly reached nuclear levels during the Pistols' infamous television appearances, which Hynde saw as proof of their manufactured nature. Industry insiders claim she refused to appear on any bills with them, allegedly telling promoters, "I don't share stages with actors pretending to be revolutionaries." The rivalry represented the fundamental corruption of punk's original promise. Hynde reportedly saw the Sex Pistols as representing everything evil about the music industry's ability to co-opt and commercialize authentic rebellion. For the uncompromising Ohio native, they had apparently committed the ultimate betrayal, turning genuine punk spirit into a calculated business plan, making their success the death of everything punk was supposed to represent. And there you have it, the 5 bands that made Chrissie Hynde's punk blood boil. Which betrayal shocked you most? Drop your thoughts below, like and subscribe for more brutal rock rivalries.